Call on private and local order of the day number 2.
Southland District Council Stewart Island Rekikura Visitor Levy Empowering Bill, second reading.
Mr Speaker.
Call Eric Roy.
Mr Speaker, I move that the Southland District Council Stewart Island Rekikura Visitor Levy Empowering Bill be read a second time. It's with some expression of delight that I have the opportunity to speak in the House, which doesn't occur very often, but something which has had a genesis almost 2 decades ago is coming to fruition finally. So the gestation period, whilst that was a long one, the bill actually coming to the House, the bill was actually tabled in the House on the 13th of October 2010. The Southland District Council first started to move on this in the previous year in September 2009, and on the fair island of Stewart Island in that time, strangers have become friends. Friends have consummated their friendship. Babies have been born. In this widest perspective, governments have been re-elected. Australian Prime Ministers have become persona non grata and stayed persona non grata. And on Stewart Island in the year of our Lord 2012, 19 cruise ships and the first 2 tranches of some 40,000 visitors have arrived. And so the 200-odd ratepayers are creaking at the seams to provide ratepayers, not. Please listen. The population is approximately 429, but the ratepayers are about half that amount. Have to provide the facilities for this increasing but desired visitors who attend Stewart Island. So, Mr Speaker, can I thank the Select Committee for the work that they have done? During the period that this was in the Select Committee, with 3 extensions of time, some 18 different members actually attended sessions of this particular bill on the Local Government and Environment Select Committee. And all had, there's only one chairman, and can I acknowledge his diligent work in actually seeing this come to fruition as well. Because there's been some change in personnel in the period, it probably does just befit the occasion that I just remind the House why this bill is there. We have a situation that is particularly unique. Stewart Island, predominantly Rekikura National Park, a settlement in the northern bay of Patterson's Inlet, Oban and a few sundry others, required to host, and very much of their business is around visitors, an increasing number of visitors, and straining at the seams to actually provide the facilities that are actually required. And so this bill actually provides an opportunity for the Southland District Council to manage a levy collecting system where visitors will contribute to the ongoing maintenance, upkeep and creation and mitigation of the effects of visitors on Stewart Island. I'd have to say that all members of the Select Committee engaged in this in a very serious way. There was a degree of cordiality and an ongoing desire to find solutions. So why was it so long in the Select Committee? Well, there were a couple of issues that did actually present themselves and gave some concern, not only to members of the Select Committee, but I guess to wider communities as well, and one could see a certain degree of eagerness in the wider local government communities that this might be a mechanism by which they could get themselves out of trouble where situations of less than better management might have created some financial pressures. And so I need to just emphasise right at the start, and if members want to look on the second page of the commentary, this in effect says quite clearly that this bill does not create a precedent for other local governments to follow. The situation on Stewart Island is sufficiently unique, and I mentioned the 19 cruise ships that have been there thus far this year, up from 13 in total last year. So it is a place of an increasing desirability to visit, and there is a need to accommodate these increasing members. I think it's a blemish against New Zealand as a whole if we have less than adequate facilities in this very special part of New Zealand. Mr Speaker, whilst this is something of a unique situation, it is not an exclusively isolated situation. The Chatham Islands has legislation which ensures the collection of a levy on freight that goes across the wharf, that they might use that in a way to develop facilities on the island. And talking earlier to the Honourable Annette King, she said, would it be possible to have an SOP included into the bill in committee stage to include the Chatham Islands? Well, in essence, the answer is no. It's totally outside the scope of the bill. And can I just say to Mr Twyford, who's looking somewhat disturbed about that notion, not only is it outside of the scope, there was a significant amount of consultation with all parties, and we haven't had time to do that for the Chatham Islands. Can I just say that there were 15 submissions that were presented when this bill was in the Select Committee. 14 were in favour, one was opposed and felt that the rationale for their opposition was that the government should just provide some more money to put in the facilities, and that in itself would create something of an unusual precedent. So there is a wide degree of acceptability in this, and the legislation itself does provide some real robustness and transparency about how this would work, in much the same way as legislation around road tolls and Tauranga provide a very clear and transparent system as how that money is collected and what it is actually set on. So the first instance that the Select Committee had some difficulty over was what it might mean in terms of a precedent. Can I also say that in that regard it is not unique to New Zealand. There are a number of countries around the world, Australia, UK, US, Ireland, quite a bit of Europe, Switzerland, where various mechanisms to cope with visitors are in place. So we are not setting ourselves up as some unique or in some way creating some international first that might cause some repercussion. So I just need to assure the House that this is quite an elegant solution in terms of accommodating the pressures of visitors in that area. I have not at any stage stated what I think the visitor levy should be. No. Because there's going to have to be some work done on how you might, or how, not you Mr Speaker, how the Southland District Council, who are charged with the responsibility, might want to deal with a cruise ship upon which might have 2,000 visitors on board, but which only 300 get off. So there is some areas where that will need to be dealt with. One of the other areas that challenged the Select Committee was precisely what is a visitor, and I think other members who have been on the Select Committee might want to expand a bit on that. What I was quite happy to do, or had in the first draft of the bill, was perhaps what might be called a Henry VIII clause that actually empowered the Southland District Council to make those sort of rules. But quite clearly that wasn't acceptable, and so we spent some time looking at precisely who is a visitor and who might be excluded, and the issues of Maori land on Stewart Island, and what happens to people who actually fly by helicopter, fixed-wing plane or boat to enjoy the wider national park without using the facilities that are in the Oban Township itself. And all of those things are dealt under the interpretation of precisely who is a visitor. Mr Speaker, can I again just say I'm really happy that after such a long gestation and birthing process, this bill is now in its second reading. I just thank the House, thank members of the Select Committee, the officials and those people who put in submissions, and I look forward to this bill being passed in short order through committee stage. I look forward to any issues which people might want to raise at that time, and I think that'll be an appropriate time to answer any questions. Thank you.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Phil Twyford.
Thank you.